up, everybody? This is Jay, and this is the Shy Season 2, Episode 10 finale, The Scorpion and the Frog. Let's get into it. Now, when the episode kicks off, we see Brandon, and he's sitting there trying to read the paper, and then you see Jerica come through. They give a little smooch goodbye, and then she's off to her day. We see Kev, he at home, he getting ready to go to school, and then he sees on the table the Chicago Northside Academy application, so he gets salty because he ain't trying to be a sellout, so he's off and he's up out of there. Meanwhile, we see Emmett, and he's looking at his phone. We see little text, little crybaby to his little shorty EJ, and so he decide he gonna give his baby mama a call. We see Tiff, and so then he think about it for a second, I guess, what he gonna say, and so then he say, you know, I'm sorry, I've been really thinking about you, and that was sweet, but then we see he's sending it to Keisha, not his baby mama. Meanwhile, we see Ronnie, and he trying to get back on the wagon, and he's posting up the Serenity Prayer on the Frigidaire, and he's making sure that he see that every time he go to the Frigidaire. Meanwhile, we see Brandon, and we see the Popos pull up on the food truck, and Detective Toussaint Alice, and he like, what's going on? Don't I know you? She like, yeah, I'm Alice. We got a search warrant for gang activity on the truck. You need to come off. He like, what? What are you talking about, gang activity? She like, hey, you need to come off the truck now. And so he didn't want to get off, but he got his little butt off of there a little easy. And so he's standing there with his arms crossed while they searching the truck and everything, going through the veggies. And then lo and behold, they find that pistola that he's had for too long in the car. And she like, is this registered? He says, no, ma'am. She says, do you have a permit? No, ma'am. And they like, Brandon Johnson, you under arrest. And so now he done, you know, got himself in trouble. And meanwhile, we see Kev, he's coming to school, and he see Maisha, so he a little, you know, stutter step. He didn't know what to do, and then he walk up to her. He like, hey, I'm sorry. I let my friends get to me. She like, that's all right. And then she give him back the birthday present keychain, and then next thing you know, she give him a Northside Academy alumni handbook. She says, I got this for $1 on eBay. You might want to see it. It's got some good alumni. He says, look, I'm sorry about what happened. She said, I thought you was different, but now I see you basic like the rest. And she leave like a running back between Papa and Jake. So they laugh and they like, what's up, man? Trouble in paradise. He like, man, why don't y'all just shut the F up, man? For real. And so he's salty right now because they didn't mess with his little Care Bear, his little boo thing. Meanwhile, we see Jada, and she's packing up her stuff at grandma's house. And he like, Jada, I'm sorry, okay? You know, it's not an excuse, but Shantae said some things that hurt my feelings, and I made a mistake. And then he hear a knock at the door, and it's beautiful Tracy at the door. So he opened the door. She says, oh, okay, I see you move on quick. It's not like that. I'm not, she's my friend. She gonna take me to work. She said, I can leave. She said, no, that's okay. I was just out of here. He said, I don't want to lose your friendship. It's just too late for that, Ronnie. Meanwhile, we see Lil Easy, and he getting the grill by the cops about this little pistol. And she says, so this gun, let's talk about it. He say, look, I ain't got nothing to say until I find out why you searched my truck. And she says, well, we searched it because of all the gang activity around the truck. And he said, gang act, I ain't in no gang, I'm selling tacos. And she says, so you want to talk about this gun or what's going on? And so they take it away, and he's sitting there looking stupid. Meanwhile, we see her, and she at the desk, and she's going through some stuff, and Detective Cruz is saying, hey, about your son, I'm sorry about that. You want to lay off a little bit? I'm sure it's probably got something to do with it. And then she just give him the look like, you know what? I figured it out. Family C. F is the 6th letter, C is the 3rd. It's been 63rd Street Mob the whole time. They are 63rd Street Mob, okay? They have been the ones that are doing this whole operation from the get-go. Then the officers say, hey, you ready to print your suspect? And then she says, he says, who you got? She says, I got Brandon Johnson. Just like I said, I'm going to flip his ass. And then Detective Cruz is looking like this. Meanwhile, we see Ronnie, and he's packing up some stuff, getting ready to go to work. And then we see he getting in the car with Tracy, and then she's telling him that Shantae is having a baby shower in Arkansas. He's like, oh yeah, my car can make it if you want to go. And so she give him the little pamphlet or whatever, and he like, well, what you think? She say, well, I'll go. It sounds good, but you can't be playing that Chicago blues now. What's wrong with the blues? She say, I don't know. I ain't trying to hear that the whole ride now. Meanwhile, we see Emmett taking his mama to the basement like Rap City. And so he going up inside. He's showing her around. He's smiling, cheesing like new money. And he bring her in and she like, so what is this? He like, it's pretty cool. $300 a month, huh? And she like, what? You gonna rent this out? And he like, yeah, I mean, unless you gonna let me come back and stay with you. And she says, well, no, I don't know about that. But don't you want to save money? He said, how I'm gonna save money? I got too many kids and stuff to do. She said, well, it got potential. He like, all right. Meanwhile, we see Mr. Perry and he's bonding Brandon out of jail, and Brandon come, and instead of being appreciative, he's salty and stuff, blaming Mr. Perry, talking about, he said, it's all right, it's a minor weapons charge. You like, man, what I gotta do to get out of this, man? I got pulled over and stuff because of all this gang activity from you. He said, hey, look, man, I know you scared, but don't worry, we gonna still stick with it, and I still believe in you. We can still get this together, all right? He said, I guess I get back to work. Meanwhile, Jerica's walking in, she see Perry leaving, and she says, what is he doing here? And what happened? He said, let's just talk about it at home. We see Jake and Papa walking down the street talking about how they think Kev mad about Maisha, when all of a sudden this big swole head dude walk up and he roll up, tell him get in the car. And so Jake and Papa like, you know him? He say he from the pizza spot. And he say, hey man, get in the car before I throw your ass in there. And so Papa say, hey man, you better go. So Jake, he roll out with old boy. Meanwhile, back at the house, we see Jerica and Brandon talking. And so she's saying, so what happened? He say, look, Otis Perry, he been having, finds out that he's part of the 63rd Street mob, his gang activity around the truck. I didn't know. She say, how you didn't know? Like, how I'm supposed to know all this? I just found out today. While we see Emmett handling his managerial duties, when all of a sudden his pops walk in, ask where he is. The lady show him where he is. He walk up and say, hey man, how come you ain't been returning my calls? What's going on? And Emmett says, hey, look, I ain't want to hear it, man. I didn't want no long drawn out lectures or none of that. He say, oh, okay. I see you a manager now. Okay, that's what's up. And he say, man, Tiff came by today with little EJ. We met him for the first time. He say, hey man, she ain't supposed to come down there without me. I'm supposed to bring him. And then he sit there with his head rolled up like the British Bulldog. And he told him, hey, look, man, that's my grandbaby. What the hell you talking about? And so them roles was getting more intensified. And he said, look, man, I got some clothes that the kids grew out. We'll give it to EJ. And he said, hey, man, congratulations on your new job promotion. Meanwhile, we see Brandon working and he like, best tacos in the city. He all depressed when all of a sudden he peep out through the side of his eye. Ronnie drunk ass over here painting on the side of the building. So he closed up shop. He's looking salty, pissed. He walk over to Ronnie, mean mugging, and he come up to him face to face and he talking about some, you know what? I saw Jason score 63. I didn't know that was your son. I get it. I understand how you felt, all the pain, anger, frustration, especially when you thought my brother had something to do with it. But I understand how you felt because I felt the same way. And he trying to start crying or whatever. And he says, man, I understand, man, and forgive you. And so then Ronnie, I'm sorry about what happened, man. I really am. And so he walk off. Meanwhile, we see Kev and he going through the alumni and the Northside Association, see all these successful people that went to that school, and then he hears mama come, so he throw it in the trash real quick. Meanwhile, we see Perry's Pizza. He got little commercials, everything, girls shucking and jiving, everything. And so then we see that's playing on his TV in his restaurant while he's talking with Reg, and he's telling him about he wants to bring Jake into the company. He wants him to start coming and working for the pizza place, doing deliveries and doing everything else. And Red say, hey, is there anything you need me to tighten up? I'm willing to do anything for the company now. And he say, nah, Reg, you doing just fine. You got nothing to worry about, which was the kiss of death. Meanwhile, Reg go and talk to Jake, say, see, I was talking to Mr. Perry. He said you can have anything you want on the menu. And you know what else? You might be him one day. What you think? He like, that's cool. He's like, now let me show you how to throw these darts, boy. And then so then next thing you know, we see Brandon sitting at home and he get a knock at the door. He answer, and this little Kev, he like, what's up? He like, it's Thursday. I want to get a cut. He like, I forgot, but come on in. And then we see this 6-pack of beer bottles on the table. Brandon then went through. And he like, so where your girl? He like, oh man, you pick up on stuff, don't you? He said, look, man, whatever I told you about women, forget it, man. I thought I knew, but I don't. He said, yeah, me too. He said, well, what's wrong with your girl? He said, I said something stupid. He said, oh man, just say you sorry. She'll come back. He said, so what kind of cut you want? He said, you know what? Give it like yours. He like, what? All right. He say, yeah, it's time for a change, man. He say, hey, man, it's hard being on your own, man, and be a man, but that's what you got to do. Meanwhile, we see Jada, and she get a knock at the door, so she go to see who it is, and it's Darnell, and she got the chain link fence on, not letting him in, and she said, what you want? He say, hey, I got some clothes for little EJ, and Emmett ain't answering the phone. She say, well, what you expect after you didn't charge them for rent? He say, it ain't that, it's about the baby. She say, what baby? So he come in, they having a little drink on some Andre's cold duck, and so he's saying, hey man, look, Emmett, you know what I'm saying, I don't know about this baby, he must not like condoms. She say, I wonder where he get it from, as if she like condoms herself. But anyway, he say, hey look man, I don't know, it's hard out here, you know, I'm married, it's been a struggle, I try to help, but you know, me and my wife, we like you know, roommates. And he laughed, and she said, hey man, I don't want to hear nothing about no how hard it is for married couple. He say, no, I'm just saying, you know, I don't know the last time we even had sex, you know, it ain't like me and you, we had a better connection, you know, as far as sexually in the bedroom. She said, yeah, it was good. And next thing you know, he go in for a quick kiss, and she push him off like, Darnell, what the hell you doing? And then he just go right back in it, because he know that she was weak in the knees. And so next thing you know, she hop on that baloney pony, ready to ride till she can't no more. And next thing you know, Emmett walk into the door, and he like, mom, what are you doing? And next thing you know, she pop up, and as soon as she turn over, he started to cover his eyes or whatever, like he a 3-year-old. And then he see his Darnell, he like, I'm out of here. And so he leave at the sight of his mom and dad together again. And then she like, see, what you do that for? And then they both feeling stupid for a second, and she blamed Darnell because I guess he you know her buttons to push. Meanwhile, we see Ronnie, and he's packing his bag. He putting together a couple of his best tank tops, and grandma say, where you going, Ronnie? And he say, I'm going to Shantae, she got a baby shower. And so then he go into her bedroom, go through her drawers, the granny panties, and up under the granny panties, because there's a lot of stuff you can hide in there, was her phone book. And he take the phone book and stick it in his back pocket. Meanwhile, we see at Sonny's, Jada come in to talk to Emmett, and he like, hey, we close. She like, hey, look, I need to talk to you. All the stuff you done been through, and I ain't never turned my back on you. You need to talk to me. And so he talking, and he said, what are you doing with Darnell? And how did you do that? She say, look, sometimes I get lonely, okay? And, you know, I just was in the moment and I slipped. He like, how do you get lonely? You got me, you got friends, you got all these people. She like, it's not the same, okay? And he said, how you with Darnell? He married, you know, he got kids. She says, yeah, I know. And I wasn't trying to mess any of that stuff up. That's the last thing I want to do. And he said, well, why you take your top off? Maybe you can't handle your liquor. She said, hey, look, I don't know if you noticed, but your mama ain't perfect, okay? Now, all I need from you is support. And he say, okay. And what about this baby? He like, man, you know what? Darnell talk too much. Okay, mom, look, I know what I need to do. You don't have to lecture me, and I support what you need to do. Meanwhile, we see the hoopty rolling strong, leaving Illinois, and it's Ronnie and Tracy, Bonnie and Clyde 2019. Meanwhile, we see Brandon. He's so little, he don't even fill out the whole couch. And so he get up off the couch, and he noticed that Jericho's walking around, ain't said nothing. He like, so this is what's up? We just gonna have a silent treatment going around? You can't talk? And she said, I don't want to say nothing. I'm a regret. What happened, Brandon? How you fall into these same traps? He like, look, I don't want to hear nothing about no traps, okay? You don't understand what it's like. She said, I don't know. I wouldn't be in that situation. He say, yeah, I know. You don't understand. Every day I have to struggle and fight. You don't know what it's like to be a man, okay? You come from a privileged background, and that's okay, but you don't get it. She said, what do you mean? I do understand. How you ain't know that he was doing this? And he say, look, He was trying to invest and support in me. I didn't know all this stuff until it was too late. And she says, I don't know. I think we just too different. And he say, so that's how it is. You gonna come at me and say all this stuff, but you don't even want to support or understand what's going on. And then she like, we just too different. I don't want to be with nobody that's been arrested. Okay, that's not the type of person I want to date. I just think this ain't gonna work. I'll be back later to get my stuff. And then she leaves out the door. And so meanwhile, we see Emmett talking to his little thick baby mama. And so he's talking about, oh man, he can eat by himself. Oh man, I missed a lot. And the time flies. And she said, yeah, he been doing that for a while now. He said, I'm sorry I ain't call you. I kind of freaked out a little bit when what happened, but I want to be able to help out and be there for you. And so she listening and it's sounding good. Meanwhile, we see Kev walking down the street, and then Papa like, okay, I see you looking like Idris Elba, and your head ain't shaped funny either. What's up? And he say, man, Jake selling that stuff after I almost got expelled. I can't believe that. He like, hey man, it's the Scorpion and the Frog. He like, what? He say, the Scorpion and the Frog, man, the story where the frog helped the scorpion go across the river. And when they was halfway through, the scorpion sting the frog in the back, and they both drowned. And when they was drowning, the frog say, why you do that? And he say, hey man, it's just my nature. It's what I do. And so Kev like, oh man, that's messed up. Say, hey man, it is what it is. And he say, oh, and also man, I just want to talk to you about that Maisha thing, man. And he said, hey man, look, just leave it alone, man. I ain't trying to hear it. He say, no, it ain't even like that, man. We wasn't even serious for real. We was just playing, man. Hey, look, if you like it, I love it, man. We boys no matter what, bro. And so Papa, you know what I'm saying? Papa's standing tall, got his back, you know what I'm saying? And so meanwhile, we see Ronnie at the baby shower, and he's sitting there. And next thing you know, he looking at Tracy looking good, holding the baby or whatever. And so we see Shantae sitting there with Uncle Ben. And then he come on over. Hey, let me talk to you for a minute. And then he come out. He say, hey, I need to see those keys. And she like, Ronnie, where you going? You know you can't drive. Hey, it's my car. I need to see the keys. She say, you better not come back drunk. If you drunk, don't even come back. Meanwhile, we see Emmett, and he done brought his baby mama to his little basement. And so he like, hey, it's $300 a month. It's the best I could do right now, but I'm willing to try to make it work, me and you, and take care of the kids. What you think? And so she like, all right, I could deal with that. And so little shorty sitting there giving her the look like, okay. Meanwhile, Brandon come home and ain't nothing in the house. This girl done took the damn dishes. He got to eat in the palm of his hand. He go in the bedroom. She done took the paint off the wall. This damn place don't even look like it's complete. Lucky he got a bed to sleep on. Left him one picture. He go in the closet. All he got is a couple shirts hanging up with the collar stretched. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got nothing. Meanwhile, we see Ronnie and the hoopty rolling strong, and he pull up, and it ain't no liquor store. He pulls up at where his pappy used to stand. And so he walk up, he like, how you know where I am? He say, you know my grandma always kept track of you. And he say, I want to give you something that somebody gave to me that I didn't know was possible. Forgiveness. I done been through a lot and been dark places searching for something. And he said, well, look, I can help you fix this car if you want and get it back running good. Now, I guess that's his way of saying sorry. Meanwhile, we see Reg and Big Mike, and they ordering everything, but thank you, please come again off the menu. And he say, yeah, give me this, that, and the other. These 30 chicken wing, bucket of this, 2 dozen biscuits. And then Big Mike, like, yeah, let me get some fries, 24 wing. He like, man, yeah, how much food y'all need? He say, man, we need as much as we want. You ain't had no problem when we was putting the beat down on that child molester. He like, yeah, I beat him good too. He like, boy, just like Pacquiao, boy. He didn't beat the hell out, beat the brakes. And so he looking like, oh my goodness. And so now they like, oh yeah, and this pie. He like, a pie too? He like, yeah. And so they walk off and they laughing. And he like, man, you see his face when I took that pie? I don't even like pie. And just throws it straight in the garbage. It's just dirty. And so they like, man, you crazy boss man. And then you see these two sexy things with on the motorcycle, and they caught their eye. They like, oh, what's up, shorty? And next thing you know, Cardi B looking like opens fire and try to air him out like dirty laundry. Next thing you know, we see Reg doing the Matrix on the side of the road, falling out, and Big Mike got hit in the arm. He starts shooting or whatever from the side, and next thing you know, they pull off and get up out of there like wannabe New Jack City. And so next thing you know, Reg sitting there leaking like the Kool-Aid man on the side of the road. Big Mike comes scoop him up like a turd in the punch bowl and try to carry him away to safety. And while he carried him away, they left the food. They left the Last Supper laying right on the floor. Now we see Brandon, and he cooperating with the feds, talking about, all right, so what I got to do? And so she says, all right, what we gonna do is we gonna take down Otis Perry. And so he says, you ever heard of the Scorpion and the Frog? I just want to know, which one am I? And then she gave the look with that pack of hot dogs on her forehead. Meanwhile, we see Jake, and he getting taken into police custody. We don't know if it's because of Red shot or because he got caught slanging bean pies. And then we see Papa and Kev just looking on as he's getting hauled away. Meanwhile, we see Emmett, and he's in his house. He's cooking, smiling, and he feeling good, handling business. And it looked like he finally trying to learn how to use condoms, except he didn't realize you put the condom on before you had a baby. This fool done put the condom on the baby head after he's already born, playing with toys. I don't know. He just don't get it on how condoms work. Meanwhile, we see Ronnie, and he's working on the hoopty with his pops, and they sitting there. I don't know how they got time to work on the car while Tracy's sitting at the baby shower or whatever. He done forgot all about her or whatever. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. And then we see Duda, aka Mr. Perry, cutting the ribbon with these gold scissors, and he's celebrating the groundbreaking. And then we got Detective Cruz on the stakeout with Detective Toussaint and then Brandon, and they all sitting in the front window. And she say, yeah, Otis Perry, we gonna take him down. This whole thing was a land grab so they could build these centers and stuff. And you want to know who the Scorpion and the Frog? He's the Scorpion, and we gonna take him down. And so meanwhile, Brandon is sitting there in deep concentration looking at what's going on. And then lastly, we see Kev, and he going to take the book out the garbage, and he open it up, and next thing you know, he's starting to think about it. And then he going to get him a blue blazer. I don't know where he got that from, but he putting it on, and he trying to look the part like a new urban scholar. In the end, I think season 2 was okay. It wasn't good as season 1, but considering now that I know all the problems they had behind the scenes and that they had to work around it and try to pull all these pieces together, I think they did a good job. One thing that I do think they need is like a real Chicagoan consultant. I'd love to be there to help consult on some of the things, like how does Brandon gonna turn snitch when you know this dude killed that white woman and he killed people with no hesitation. Even Gravy told him that. And then he's upset with Otis Perry when it's his fault he had that gun. Perry had nothing to do with that. He wouldn't have been put in jail if he didn't have that gun. They would have searched the van and they would have been on about their business because there was no reason to arrest him. And he didn't need that gun, especially when he knew Mr. Perry had people watching his truck for him. And another number 1 rule that we know in the streets is you never carry around a gun you don't know the history of. You don't know how many bodies is on that gun. Everybody knows that. You don't carry nobody else's gun around or put your fingerprints on it or touching bullets and stuff. So Brandon, he just comes off as a big idiot a lot of times in this show to me. But I don't know. I have to make another video getting into all the things that I think is wrong with the show, but I'm not trying to hate on the show. I just think that they can correct it and make it better. I just want to thank everybody that support my work at patreon.com, especially my 2 newest supporters, Chantel V, and Donald W. I appreciate your support. Thank you for being the newest members of my Patreon family. I hope you enjoy some of the exclusive content that I have on there, and I welcome anybody else to please join my Patreon family and help me to create better content and keep a smile on your face. In the end, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, hit that like, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.